Hey everyone, my name is Nathan Williams. I'm the founder and CEO of MindSpider, and I've been asked by EIT Raw Materials to talk a little bit about my entrepreneurial journey. What we are doing with MindSpider is doing blockchain traceability to determine where the materials that go into our products come from and under what conditions they've been produced. And I'm talking to you here from Luma Smelter in Rwanda, just outside of Kigali. It's been an interesting journey so far, as you can see, and I wouldn't have expected it to take me so far when I began back in 2017. The thing that is most important to an entrepreneur is to spend more time looking at problems than you do looking at solutions. And this is the lesson that I've learned over the years, is that if you start by looking at solutions, which is our tendency, you don't end up solving the right problem. And you may end up building something very expensive or very complicated, but it won't necessarily have a customer. Because to get customers, what you need to do is to solve people's problems. So in my previous company, which was a chemical regulations monitoring company, what we did was we knew there was a regulation companies would need help with, and we built a system to keep track of what chemicals companies had, what regulatory status they had, if anything changed, to let them know, a little AI to keep track of the news and when the status changed, to monitor it automatically. And we had BASF tested out, we had Michelin use it for a while, and it never took off. And the reason it didn't take off was because it didn't solve the problem that these companies had. The companies did have a problem of knowing which chemicals they had a problem with, but they didn't have that specific problem. What they needed was slightly different. And so when I started MindSpider a few years later, I spent the first year saying, I'm not going to look at just the solution, like, okay, we'll put a blockchain and nail it to the problem of knowing where your metals come from. I'm going to take time and find out. So I spoke to smelters and mines and downstream companies like Google, who made electronics, or companies that make cars, and I asked them, what have you tried to do to know what's going on in your supply chain? What has worked? What hasn't worked? What data do you need? And they gave me a lot of feedback, and I found out that it's not just about traceability. There have been a number of companies that have tried blockchain tracking programs here that didn't work because no one wanted to use them, because they have to meet the people's needs. Usually what happens is, who pays for all of this tracking? Well, it's often the miners who have less power in the supply chain. And who wants the data? Well, it's the companies at the other end of the supply chain that manufacture. And so together I analyzed that this problem was beyond just doing tracking of physical metals. It was about incentivizing and making sure that the right people would actually use the product and provide data. And we figured out who the stakeholders were, and we learned that it's important to get the smelters on board, because the smelters are the ones that can make a lot of this happen. And that's why I'm talking to you from here. And this is true not just of mining projects, not just of blockchain projects, but of every project. It doesn't matter if you want to make the next Facebook for cat owners, or if you want to sell handbags online, or if you want to open a restaurant. Usually with a startup, it's not as simple as a restaurant. It's making a new business model. And for something like EIT Raw Materials, it's going to be probably a completely new business model. And so it's ever so important to know who's actually the person that you're trying to solve the problem of. Who's going to buy it? How much are they going to buy it for? And why would they pay you? And they only pay you when you solve the problem. So that's a bit of the story. I'm down here looking at processes, collecting data to build my next product, with the support of EIT Raw Materials. So thank you very much for them for having me here, and hopefully this is the next step toward a world where we know where our materials come from and have more confidence that they've been produced responsibly.